Hi, I'm Susanna Bowling, and this is live from the Hotel Edison Times Square Chronicles Presents. This time we're doing it on a Zoom version because our guest just flew in from Florida, and she has a concert this Monday that I am very much looking forward to. You would know her from TV, but she's a phenomenal singer. And if you look at some of her past videos, you'll see she actually started rather young. We're with Linda Purl. Linda, when did you really start singing? Because I just watched this episode of The Waltons.
Oh, yeah, sure. I started, I guess, at 11. I was living in Japan and working with a Japanese theatrical company. Anyway, I did musicals with them and loved it. And then had a recording contract there later as a teenager. However, once I started work in television in the States, that whole side of work just stopped, and I really missed it. I really missed having music in my life. And during the AIDS epidemic, uh, living in LA, and there were lots of wonderful, so many extraordinary efforts going on raising funds for support. One of them was an AIDS concert that went on annually. I got to be a part of that for 13 years, and it was helmed by David Galligan and Ron Abel as music director. And so that pulled me into that world. And I have to say that the friendships, I mean, we thought we were just getting together in a moment of such overwhelming tragedy and getting to sing songs and hopefully, raising some money to help people. What I didn't know then, but I do now all these decades later, is that that became my village, my core village of friends. The friendships that came out of that are so profoundly meaningful, continue to be at this time. Anyway, that was my entree back into music. And out of that, I started doing cabaret acts that David Galligan directed, that Ron held my hands through. It was absolutely terrifying to do a cabaret. But what I discovered was autonomy, as opposed to sitting around waiting for someone to cast you in a musical or maybe get to sing a song or two on a television program. Ron and David and I could huddle together, build a show, and call around to some clubs, and somebody would say, "Sure, come on in, we'll give you a night or three." And music got to then become part of my life again, and there was no turning back. And so over the years, then I got introduced to the extraordinary Ted Firth through Rex Reed. And in fact, I was at the Edison Hotel having breakfast or lunch with Rex, and Rex said, I'm working with this fellow, Ted Firth, and why don't you come in and do the show?" And it was with Deborah Grace Weiner over at 92nd Street Y. And so I met Ted Firth, and that was my life changed. He's with Ron Abel's blessings, because Ted and Ron, both incredible musicians, very different feels, and Ted has pulled me more securely into jazz over the last 16 years that we've been together musically. So anyway, and it's weird. I don't know what it is, but something about everything about music means more to me at this stage than previously. I think maybe because music says what words can't, it imparts what words can't. I love the physicality of singing. Diane Reeves, I was reading an interview with her, and she said, well, singing a song, any song, is a spiritual discipline. And I'm sort of continuing to discover what that means, but that rings very true to me. Anyway, that's an incredibly long-winded answer to your question. I'm sorry, I just prattled
No,
on.
actually, in talking to me, and Magda will tell you this, you couldn't have said anything more perfect. To me, music is my church.
Oh, yeah.
It is, I think that's why I really like what you choose, how you choose to sing it, and
Mm.
the places that you go with Ted Firth. I'm looking forward to this concert on Monday,
Thank
actually.
you.
No,
I'm
you're
excited
welcome.
and terrified because most of the material is new, and it's it's exciting and terrifying. Ugh.
In what you're doing coming up, what song are you looking most forward to sharing?
Oh, that's not fair. That's like choosing between children,
No, it's not that hard.
Well, oh goodness. You choose songs each for their own reason. One, because it helps you heal through something, or it throws out a dollop of hope to someone or companion someone. I think You Must Believe in Spring is certainly one of them, one of my favorite songs. The poetry of it is remarkable, and it's something I believe, uh, too.
This question actually might go more into the last question as well, though
Mhm.
there is no right or wrong answer to this question,
Mhm.
and it should change multiple times.
Mm,
I believe that, everyone says eyes are the windows of the soul.
mm.
I think songs are.
Oh.
What song or series of songs describes who Linda Purl is right now?
Oh my. Well, my romance, that comes to mind. Everything Must Change,
Oh, love that song.
because there are a lot of things that are changing and need to change.
I agree.
Um, Home on the Range.
That's hilarious. Why home on the range?
Well, there's a deep breath that when you drive across the West, that you just take involuntarily, for the majesty and the grandeur of it. And I love the simplicity of that song, the simple joys that it recalls, and the majesty of America. So it makes me breathe deeply, and reminds me that there's a lot of beauty out there to be experienced.
I love that answer. I remember hearing a story that you told about being up in a tree and taking photographs.
Sounds like me. Yeah, I'm not sure where well, I had a tree house growing up, and so trees have always been a part of my life. There was a big old tree, and it was sort of one of those three-pronged things, and our dad built some little steps and a couple of little platforms for my sister and I to each have one. And then he also arranged, we had, I don't know, at some point 16 cats, and we arranged from the balcony of the house over the driveway to the tree a pulley system. And much to our cats' horror, we would we would strap some of the cats in there and then pulley them, and they would make it out, out to the tree. So you'd hear these poor cats meow, meow, as they're being, carted across and I don't know what we were thinking. We wanted to have a, tea party with our kitty cats in the tree house. It was cat abuse. Nobody died, but it
Why
was
didn't you just build them little poles where they could walk across?
would be much better. Would be much better. Yeah. No, we didn't think of that.
I'm trying to think of my cat. I have a cat, Hamlet, that I'm trying to imagine him doing.
Yeah. No, it's not a good plan. I
It
don't
could be kitty
recommend.
suicide because he'd be jumping out of that basket.
Yeah.
What songwriters would you like to work with?
Gosh. Well, Amanda McBroom.
I
I
love him.
love Amanda McBroom. She's such a storyteller. And she runs so deeply and with such nuance and intelligence. So Amanda is the first that comes to mind. You bet.
Yeah, I love Amanda's music.
Mhm.
Um, you also you date Patrick Duffy, he's your guy.
Mhm.
You guys did some dough. Where can anyone get that dough or the bread?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, about 4 years ago in my garage in Colorado, we started a company that was based on a sourdough starter that has been in Patrick's family for over 70 years. And at some point, there may have been a little drinking involved. He said, "I should start a company." It's like, of course you should. Because he would bake the breads, and we'd take it to friends' houses for dinner, and the reviews were always good. So we started, and we were mentored by this wonderful man who had been one of the founders of Newman's Own, and he said, "All right, kids, this is what you do." Thing is, we were selling a dehydrated starter, and it's a terrible business model because as soon as anybody buys the starter, you never have to buy it again. So we knew that we needed to somehow find somebody who would bake the bread and then sell the bread. And that was too much for us to take on.
Mm.
So anyway, we were told by this Newman's Own gentleman, he said, well, you kids got to get into a boardroom and make a licensing deal with a bakery. And I remember saying to him, well, that's lovely, but I don't know anybody in a boardroom. Can you introduce me? And he said, no, they're all dead. So, however, we had our marching orders at that point. And, you just start throwing it out there to the universe and asking around. And it took a few months, but sure enough, we were introduced to Kroger, and who they have a huge eleemosynary charitable arm. And our mission is to give our profits away. We give our profits away. So this aligned very profoundly with Kroger. They also, not only do they distribute food, they also manufacture some of their food. So anyway, we got very, very lucky, and we went terrifyingly to Cincinnati and gave our little book report of what our demographics were and how many we had sold. And I don't know, we just hit them on a good day. And so we have a comprehensive licensing deal with Kroger, and they're rolling us out now over time because the bakery just takes time to ramp up the supply chain. So we've been in Ohio now for a few months. We moved to Texas next week, and then Southern California. Anyway, by the end of May, we will be in most Kroger stores across the nation. Tragically for me, the Albertsons merger did not go through a few months back, so we have no stores in New York. But who knows? I mean, maybe of course, I would love for that to happen. And in the Northeast Corridor, Kroger doesn't have stores there. But if we sort of keep pedaling along, and it's a take and bake bread. There is a thing called Kroger delivery on the Kroger site. So even if they don't have stores, sometimes they'll have warehouses, and some of those warehouses will be handling Duffy's dough. It's more information than you need or want,
No,
but
no, no, I want
really?
some.
Okay, well, if you go to the Kroger website and go to Kroger delivery, and then they prompt you to put in your zip code, they'll tell you if they can deliver here.
No,
And
I'm from,
next time I see you, I'll hope to have a take and bake loaf with me to
yeah,
give.
I'm from California, so
Oh,
sourdough
okay.
bread is my favorite thing, and trying to get it here, not so simple.
Really, isn't that something? Well, it's so delicious, and there are all sorts of good health properties to it too. So, and it's been, we of course we wanted to give the charity to we're only giving to food scarcity within the United States right now. Of course, we couldn't have known how well, what with the federal funding going away for so many of the food programs, we feel especially grateful to be able to do what little bit we can do. But when we were in Ohio, we had an opportunity to go to a center for people where they could get these delicious meals. And
Oh,
suddenly it wasn't just, we were able to give a check to them, but suddenly it wasn't just a mission statement, just words on a page. There were real people there getting really good food, and it was an ongoing effort. We didn't have anything to do with that particular day, but we were able to support them a little bit. And I tell you, I was in tears. Suddenly it was like, oh, there's a whole human connection that happens here of kindness and gratitude and being a part of a community. So I really look forward to that journey as it continues. We get a tiny royalty because Kroger's is doing all the work. So we just get a 1.75% royalty from them. But you add up a couple thousand stores and eventually that'll turn into something. So anyway, it's been such a learning curve for us because we are not business people, but we've learned now how to create the brand and just beyond the journey, and it's continues to unfold, and I'm very, very grateful for it.
Now you have a book coming out this Christmas.
I do. Yeah. I Patrick and I got to do a tour, a theater tour in England a couple of years ago. And it was such a fairy tale adventure, so much fun, but also it was crazy. It was just coming out of COVID, and I mean, there were weathers and storms, and the set didn't arrive, and the cast couldn't get there, and the people got COVID, and I mean, all kinds of things happened. But the show, one way or another, always went on, and we would come back to our little apartment wherever we were staying in. I think we did 26 or 27 theaters around the country. And we'd go, "Did that really happen? Unbelievable!" So I started writing it down, and I would share it sometimes with people. Anyway, I decided it's completely a vanity project. It's a tiny little book, but it's funny and it's fun, and it's an insight as to what people can go through on the road, and that carry on British spirit that we got to be, ride on the coattails of. So it's a vanity project. It's self-publishing. I mean, because you can do that nowadays. You just go to Amazon Publishing. So yes, it's out there. It gets published November 18, and I would be delighted if anybody buys the Kindle. It's a Kindle and also a little hard copy. So it's just for fun. It's a little stocking stuffer.
But I love the fact that you say it's a vanity project and are unabashed about that. I love that.
It is. I mean, it's not like anybody said, "Oh, Linda, write a book." Nobody said that. I just, what the heck? That's the thing at this stage in life. It really is. And Patrick and I say this to ourselves a lot. If not now, when?
Mm.
And so anyway, it's really just for fun. And yeah.
Let's talk about your green room project. This is a brand new show that you're going to turn into an album, correct?
Yes, it is. Thank you for saying that. Yeah,
Oh, you're
there are
welcome.
a couple of songs in there that I have done before, but for the most part, it's new. I think because we're living in new times,
Mm.
and I wanted to address something of the emotional ride that we're all on, no matter what side of the fence you're on politically. I mean, it's somewhat well, it's sort of a, I don't know, like hanging on to a dragon's tail a little bit. And so and as we have said, music carries the fabric of emotions. It just seemed to be a kind of a benign way to, I don't know, metabolize some of the experiences we're all having. And in exploring that conversation with Deborah Grace Weiner, who I work with, Deborah Grace, who's so brilliant. First of all, she carries the Great American Songbook in her head. And as you know, she does this wonderful series at Dizzy's quarterly. And Deb has been a friend also for about 16 years. And so every time I do a show, it's with Deb. I say, "This is the theme, help." And so we have long sort of curl up on the sofa girlfriend chats about what I want to say, and she helps me, focus that and articulate that. So it becomes hopefully the show, in this case, a kind of conversation and support and a chance to laugh at ourselves and feel a community and feel hopeful, feel really hopeful.
In one of my favorite things that you do in your shows is your mashups and how you put two musical theater songs together
Oh,
and make them your own. Uh,
mm.
it's almost like you hear them in a new way. Are you doing that in this show?
A little bit. And I'm going to draw a blank on, yeah, we're doing a couple of verses from one song and putting them into the other. And really that's sometimes it's my idea, but that's basically Ted Firth's genius, another aspect of his genius.
I'm a huge, huge fan of Ted Firth.
Yes, remarkable.
Yeah, he again hears songs in different ways that open up the song in a brand new way because of how he hears it musically and lyrically.
Lyrically, exactly. Gosh, yeah. So yeah, I really love that, Susanna. I've always felt that Ted plays the subtext of the lyric.
Yes.
You know, he really let, I asked him at some point, how do you decide how to accompany a singer? And he said he follows the breath. You know, when the singer is taking a breath, ergo they can't sing. So in that millisecond, he has his full rainbow of talents to draw from. Does he echo the sentiment? Does he play nothing? Does he presage what's about to be said? Does he pull in a strain from another song that has a similar emotional echo? All of those things are immediately available to him. And of course, it's never the same twice. It is only better if that's possible.
Oh yeah, no, I'm a huge fan. I mean, he turned me on to Tom Wopat because of that.
Oh boy, what a voice.
Mm.
Wow. Talk about a quadruple threat. I've got to work with Tom a few times when we've gone on the road together doing a show with Ted. And to witness their musical bromance is quite profound. I mean, here two, sort of alpha male guys, and they just fall over each other musically. They've been working together for so many years. They have that beautiful patina and wonderful weave, and they really get each other, I think, as men and as musicians. And boy, you feel it in the music.
I agree.
Mhm.
Our time is coming to an end, sadly to say. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would like my audiences to know?
No, thank you so much. What a really fun, interesting interview, Susanna. I
Thank you.
appreciate the support and yeah, just helping get the word out for our concert because it just doesn't happen without an audience there. So thank you for sharing your audience. I appreciate it.
I'm very, very into turning people on to shows that are good, singers that are good, songs that are good. My friends will tell you when I get out of a show, if I really love it, I'm on the phone saying,
Good.
you have to see the show. Magda will tell you because I do it all the time.
Nice.
Um,
Great.
I want to thank you very much for being with us. I
Thank
want
you.
to thank Magda Katz for always making us look and sound good.
You
To
bet.
Ramon Lopez and the Hotel Edison, even though we aren't there today. And I'm Susanna Bowling, and this is Live from the Hotel Edison, Times Square Chronicles presents.